it's your girl Rack Famous Star. So I am here to give you the recap vlog of episode 7. Sorry I'm late. I was just so tired last night and I was not in the mood to record. So here I am. Alright, so we left off last episode with Paul and Bronte being on the block and Tiffany being nominated by Victor because he was the roadkill winner. So the beginning of the episode pretty much was about Tiffany's paranoia and that she thinks she may possibly be the target even though Victor put her up. Like, Victor is not in her alliance. I don't think she sees the bigger picture. She wants to make sure that Victor's still the target. So she went to talk to Paulie even though he had nothing to do. I mean, yeah, Victor was kind of talking to him about it, but ultimately Victor was the one that put him up. So she seems very needy to me. Sorry about this lighting. I don't really know how to like fix it. Maybe that's better. But she seems very needy. She was in the HOH room with pretty much all of her lines. It was maybe 1 or 2 people missing, but everyone was like reassuring her. She's like, I just want to make sure that this is not a bigger plan to like, to get me out the door, like maybe because it's hard to get me. I'm like, girl, stop putting these ideas in people's heads. Because people are like, no, it's not you. Like, I don't know about anyone else in that house, but I would have been like, you need to stop because your paranoia is making me paranoid. And it's going to make me want to get rid of you because I don't have time to be feeling paranoid in this house. I mean, you already feel kind of on edge, but you don't have time to be babysitting somebody, Like, I'm not getting paid for this, to be babysitting you, So, I don't know. Bronte, they flipped to Bronte, and she's kind of afraid that her and Paul may still be the target. She was talking, I want to say to Paul or Natalie. She was talking to somebody in her alliance that she trusts. But which may very well be the case. I don't think Bronte would go this week because there are bigger fish to fry than, like, she's a bigger fish, but I don't think she would go over any of the other 2 people that would be on the block. So you break it down. Tiffany's on the block, right? Nominated by Victor. Tiffany has to throw the competition, so she remains on the block. So anybody else can be, like, so Bronte or Paul could be taken off by Paulie. By Paulie. So her alliance is kind of like, look, you kind of have to throw it, in order to get Victor on the block, because if you win the veto, then he's safe because he's going to name the replacement nominee. So she's kind of like, okay, I have to throw it. But then I don't know, like, I mean, you're not going home well, she doesn't know. But if she was just more chillaxed about it, then maybe she would be 100% staying, in my opinion, but I don't know. So if Victor could be named the replacement nom, if the veto is used on Paul or Bronte. I think it'll probably be Paul because I don't think Bronte, they want to leave people on the block that would most likely not go home this week. Like, Bronte would have to probably go around punch people in the face. And even then, I think she would stay. So it got back to Paulie that Paul told Victor not to trust Paulie and Frank. And when Paulie brought it up to Paul, he was like, like, he had to dig himself out of a huge hole. And I don't think, I mean, Paulie bought it up. Like, he was just like, he's on the block. Like, why would he lie? He's on the block. He has every reason to lie. I don't know. So let's see. What was I saying? Let me go on to the veto competition. It was called Tozarks, I think, or something. I don't know. It was that spelling competition. But the players were, of course, Polly as HOH, Paul, Bronte, and Tiffany because they were on the block. Davon's name was pulled, and then Paul's name was pulled. So he got to pick, right? All right, so Victor is like, yes, it's the perfect, like scenario for him to, I hate that word now. But he was like, it's the perfect scenario for like Paul's name to get picked, then he could pick me, and then I could win the veto and then get him off, right? So Victor, at this point, I felt bad for Victor. Before, I was just kind of like, oh man, he's getting played. But at this point, I felt bad because Victor was like, yeah, hear me, yeah. And I think under normal circumstances, if Paul wasn't working with the other side of the house to keep himself off the block, I think Paul would have picked Victor. In my opinion, I think Paul should have picked Victor. Because if you think about it, Paul is not going to be around much longer. I don't think so. I think he's got maybe 2-3 weeks. He might make it to jury. But I just think you should stick with people that you may not have the numbers, but you definitely don't have the numbers with the other 8 plus 1 people that are together. Like you're at the bottom of the barrel. So I think he should have shown loyalty and picked Victor. But whatever. So Paul ends up picking Zakia, and he was like, well, because she's on my team. And then he tries to play dumb. Victor was like, man, why didn't you pick me? And he was like, I just wanted, my team. Zakia's on my team, so, and he was like, well, if you would have picked me, I could have won it and saved you, and they both would have been saved. And Paul was like, oh, right, really? Wait, explain that to me. I was just annoyed. Okay, so the veto was the first person to correctly spell a word with the most amount of points wins, and there was point ranges between 0 and 2 or 0 and 3, one of the two. And they had 12 minutes, so it went by pretty quickly. During the comp, so right before it was over, during the comp, Tiffany she looks over and counts Davon's letters, and then runs back. And Davon gets suspicious and sees like, why she count only mine? Like that was everybody else she could have picked. Why she count only mine? So I don't know. Let me just go with the results. Paul spelled out slouched, and he got 9 points. This is the order how it went, and so he was technically in the lead. Tiffany spelled out twinkling. She got 10 points, so she was in the lead. And at that point, everyone was like, what? Like, you were supposed to throw it. You could have. I was watching. I said she needs to spell cat, close it, bring it in. Like Davon spells redemption, and she gets 9 points, and so Tiffany's still in the lead. Zakia spells duration. She gets 6 points, so Tiffany's still in the lead. Bronte spells powerful, and then Bronte spells powerful. She has 10 points. And I want to say Tiffany rang in before Bronte. Maybe Bronte rang in before Tiffany. I don't know. But then Paul Lee spells sustainability. And it's 10 points as well, but he rings in before both the girls. So he ends up winning. And Paulie says he plans to use it on Paul because he showed loyalty when he didn't pick Victor and he picked Zakia for the veto. And then also Paulie was saying he plans to take the heat for Victor being up on the block. But I don't know. I mean, I would just be like the whole house wants you, I don't know. So Devon, Nicole, and Michelle, and Zakia were discussing sending Tiffany home because she's a liability and she's so like, she's very Vanessa, just like, like, is it me? Is it me? Tell me I'm beautiful. Like, girl, you don't need, people should not have to be reassuring you every 10 seconds for you to feel okay. I understand, you know, you don't want to go home. You put a lot of work in to get here, and this is the once in a lifetime opportunity, maybe twice in a lifetime for some people. But you should not be like freaking out over everything. So there's a possibility that Tiffany could go home. Paul is trying to give Victor hints about his nomination fate, but Victor's just not catching it. All right, so Paulie ends up using the veto on Paul, which he names Victor as the replacement nominee, and I still think Victor is a little bit delusional. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Victor is going to go home unless something magical happens and Tiffany goes home, which I'd probably be fine with either one. But it's been real. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and you're welcome. Bye.